My name is Bob McAllister. When I was a kid, I always wanted to have extraterrestrial power. I learned how to do it. As a matter of fact, in my basic magic lesson, I'm going to teach you how to do the same thing. Takes a little practice, but you'll have a lot of fun with it. First thing to get used to is having hands that don't match. Well, that's rather basic and simple. I guess you figured that out by now. My grandfather used to make his hands look like they were stretching by rubbing them back and forth, and it's quite an optical illusion. Speaking of optical illusions, you can make a hot dog appear right before your very eyes by just bringing your fingers together and looking at them and bringing it close to the bridge of your nose. You'll see an invisible hot dog. Try it. While you're trying that, why don't you see if you can pull your finger off? I found that kids are usually fascinated when they see your finger come off. Here's how we do it. It's really easy. All you have to do is bend one finger, place your thumb in front of that finger, and place your finger between your first finger and your thumb, and slowly pull it away. Straighten the finger out and show that it's back together. Since we're doing silly finger moves, this has always been one of my favorites. We'll look at the above view on this, and you'll see exactly how it works. Watch. By golly, it jumped to the other hand. This is one that I like to teach kids. It's one of those silly things, and it's one that they'll have a great deal of fun with.
Here are some simple, basic palms and sleights.
My favorite kind of magic is with ordinary household objects, such as a coin. And I've always found a fascination when you take a coin and it seems to mysteriously disappear and appear somewhere else. That's called the French drop, and it's perhaps the first sleight that you should learn. It's an easy sleight. It takes a bit of acting to accomplish it, but it's very simple. Oh, there it goes again. Here's how we do it. The coin is held between the thumb and first finger of the right hand, or the left hand if you're left-handed. The left hand then comes under the coin, closes, but as the hand is closing, the coin drops into the same hand. Again, the coin drops into the same hand. So a bit of acting is needed, and you have to feel and believe that coin is in your other hand. The coin disappears and can be produced under the elbow or behind the ear, and it's all done with a basic first element, the French drop. That very sleight can be used with a child, making a kiss disappear and producing the kiss behind the child's ear. It can be done with a match pad. It can even be done with a little rubber ball in which it's squeezed away and produced from another part of the body. Since we have a coin, let's do a simple coin sleight by rubbing the coin on the elbow, and it disappears. Reaching behind the neck, we might find the coin. Here's how we do it. The coin is shown in both hands. Aha, you caught me. There's the coin. Watch. The coin is shown. You pretend to take the coin in the opposite hand and immediately bring it to the elbow while the coin is tucked in under the collar. But remember, there's acting in magic, and you have to act like that coin dissolves right at the elbow, and your hands are then shown empty. And at a later time, you reach behind the neck and produce the coin that's just vanished. Again, the coin is shown, rubbed, and disappears right behind the neck. One of my favorites is spinning a coin with friction. And I do that with the 2 fingers, and it takes a little time sometimes, but if it's held just right, the coin will spin. Again, the finger is placed on top of the coin, and it spins. How do we accomplish it? With the old thumb method. Watch. The finger is placed on the coin. The thumb does the work. As the finger crosses above the opposite finger, the thumb comes out and hits the coin, giving it a spin. Again, it spins. So, you've learned the basics of sleight of hand.
This is the rolling coin.
Now that you've accomplished the French drop, perhaps you'd like to try something a little more complicated, and it's quite a flourish, but it's one that's fun, and if you're watching television and have nothing to do, so keep your fingers busy. Your fingers do the working, not the walking on this one, but the working. It will impress your Mississippi gambler friends if you have any around. Here's how it's done. It's a coin roll. It does take practice, and it takes a bit of coordination and balance, but let me show you how to do it. First, you must balance a coin. Depending on the size of your hand, it can be a quarter or even a nickel if you have smaller fingers, and it's flipped around and placed on the first finger. The ends of the fingers are bent, and now watch closely from above, and you can see how it cascades down the knuckles of your hand, comes between the pinky finger and the third finger. The thumb comes underneath, catches the coin, and brings it around to the front of the hand as the coin travels slowly down your knuckles.
Okay, let's back palm a card.
The basics of magic, you should know a trick where you reach into midair and grab something out of midair. That's called a back palm. And it's one of the basics of magic, and it's something that can be utilized not only with cards, but with match pads, with coins, to make things appear or make things disappear. A match pad can magically jump from one hand and appear in the other hand, and it can also be done with a coin, with a move that's called the back palm. To accomplish this, the fingers grip a card in this position. Perhaps you can see it better from the above view. The hand then swivels around, holding the card behind the hand. From the front, it looks like this. To retrieve it, the card is produced thusly. Watch. In slow motion. The card, the hand is taken away, and the card appears in the opposite hand. Watch as we do it with a match pad. The match pad, from the spectator's view, is taken, thrown up, and caught in the opposite hand. Again, the same as the card, it's placed in this position. The hands are straightened, thus giving the illusion that there's nothing in the open hand. It's pretended to be placed in the other hand, reached in the air, and you produce it. With a coin, again, it's back palmed so that the hand is shown empty, but you reach behind someone's ear, under your elbow, behind a table, and there is a coin that's produced right before your very eyes.
Okay, let's have a ball trick.
In basic palming, I've always liked to use a ball like a Spalding because there's so many tricks that can be accomplished with just a plain, simple ball. Tricks that defy gravity and make the imagination go a little wild. This is an easy one. It's just 2 fingers with the ball placed between the 2 fingers and just a circling motion, a little pressure between the fingers, and that ball stays right in position. And while you're doing this flourish, the rest of the hand can be utilized, and you can get some incredible effects with just a little bit of practice. This is a pressure that's with the middle finger pressing against the bottom of the ball, which allows it and gives an illusion of it almost floating in midair. Different sized balls can be used. I like to use a little globe and make that spin around your fingers and twist around. To do the flourish of making it go between the fingers, which is a wonderful exercise if you have an arthritic problem, you start with the ball between your thumb and first finger, roll it to the second finger, roll it and catch it with the third finger, roll it one more time. I have to cheat on this one. I usually give a little help from my thumb, twist it around, and you can do some amazing, amazing tricks with just a globe or balls that come together and do magical things. If you don't wish to put all the time and effort into learning these, there's another way. That's the old thumb method. I use a split ball, put my thumb in it, and now I just move my hands around. And without any practice at all, you've got yourself a miracle. Of course, while you're at it and you have that ball on your thumb, you can do the old vanishing ball on the thumb trick. By golly, that's pretty good.
It's time for the magic mouse.
You can get shrieks of delight from little people with a magic mouse. I've got a little magic mouse that, oh, get back there. He, no, he sometimes tries to get away. That's, yeah, no, don't go, don't run away. It's fun. Down, boy. Whoop, he got away. Well, let me show you how to do it. It's all done with a handkerchief. That's all. A simple handkerchief. Here's how we do it. The handkerchief is laid out in front of you, folded in half, and then the ends, the right side is folded over to the middle, pressed down, a little past the middle, over to the other side, not catching this corner, but leaving it free, so that we have a shape that looks like an envelope. Now, the 2 bottom edges are gripped tightly and pulled away from the center of the handkerchief as we roll it right to the point. The handkerchief is then picked up, folded thusly, keeping the thumbs in the middle, and now we wrap the loose end around and tuck it into the bottom and push in with our thumbs, twisting the handkerchief so that we have a bit of a loop, much like the opening of a purse, or a slit right in the top of the handkerchief, twisting it around to make the body as tight as we possibly can, as you'll need it tight when you make the manipulations of the mouse moving at a later point. Again, it's twisted around, and you'll find that at one point there'll be a hole right in the middle of the handkerchief, thusly. Now, we have to remove the 2 ends of the handkerchief, and that's accomplished by just slightly twisting, and one end will come out. And you have to do this rather gingerly, and you get wrapped up body in the middle with a loose end that looks something like a Chinese firecracker at either end. One end will be the mouse's tail, the other will be the head. Find the largest end of the handkerchief. In this case, it looks like it's this end, and we hold the handkerchief like this, spin it around, tie the ends in a simple knot, and we have the mouse's head complete with two little ears. That's it, just like that. Now here's how we make the manipulations of our magic mouse. We take and place the mouse in our hand thusly, cover the body of the mouse, and move the fingers back and forth, just like this, and the tail moves around, and the ears kind of jump out. Now we pet it here, and it looks like our mouse is alive. And one of my favorite manipulations is putting it against my coat, and it's like petting your head and rubbing your tummy, and it's a petting motion and pushing the mouse up. And at one point, you let loose so that the mouse gets away. And the same is done with the hands. As you pet the mouse, you scoot the mouse off and catch him with your other hand so that he runs away. And if you really want to scare somebody, you hit the mouse like this, and the mouse jumps off. To do that, all you have to do, had a spare mouse, is just hit the mouse, and as you hit it, your thumb comes behind the mouse and scoots it out. And you'll have all kinds of fun with that one.
This is called the cut and restored newspaper.
Have you ever watched a magician take a rope or a newspaper and magically cut it, snap his fingers, and all of a sudden that paper comes back together again? Looks like a real magic miracle. Well, it is. This trick takes a little preparation, and it's one that you can amaze your friends at the next Lions Club or Cub Scout meeting by cutting a newspaper and magically making it come back together again. Here's how we prepare it, and here's how we do it. Watch. Magically, it comes back together every time. It's done with a newspaper, and we cut out a want ad strip from the newspaper. And it's important that you get the want ads because it's got the little lines that cross, and it kind of disguises the dirty work that's about to happen. Here's what you do. On the back of the newspaper, a little rubber cement is placed, and I've already placed some rubber cement on this one. And then talcum powder is placed over that to cover up the glossiness of the rubber cement, and then fold it out. We'll do that on a couple of strips. Wrong one. Little talcum powder, and you have a sheet of paper that's ready to go. Now here's what happens. The newspaper is shown back and front. The back side has the rubber cement with the talcum powder on it, and all you do is fold the paper, take the scissors, cut it. This is why the want ads play a nice part in this trick, because it's got little lines that run parallel with the newspaper. And now, very carefully, you open it up, and the rubber cement will hold it together. You see, if I pulled, it would break apart. But watch what happens when I put the two together and just cut. Take the one end and open it, and voila, the torn and restored newspaper.
This is the famous broken restored rubber band.
Here are a couple quickies that you can have some fun with around the office or the house. The first one is with a rubber band. And this is a magical looking trick if there ever was one. Watch closely as we take the rubber band and break it, snap our fingers, and magically the rubber band is restored. How did I do that? Watch. The rubber band is held between the left fingers, the thumb and first finger. The right hand grips the rubber band and pulls it out like a slingshot, pulls it out. The pinky comes around and grabs the bottom of the rubber band, and the top is held thusly, so that the rubber band actually is wrapped around this hand and twisted so that it looks like it's wrapped around both hands, when in reality, a piece of the rubber band is here and a piece is here. But it looks like one rubber band. We now pretend to break this end, just letting loose, and then snapping this back into the hand, waving our hand, and the rubber band has restored itself. Another preparation, if this is too difficult, is just to grab the rubber band with the thumb and the first finger of the left hand, wrap it around, and then grab it with the pinky, pull it apart, and again, slowly we stretch the rubber band between our fingers, pretend to break it, let it go, wave our hand, and magically the rubber band comes back together.
It's time for magic with paper clip and rubber band.
Let's do another quickie with a dollar bill and a rubber band. This time the rubber band is placed on the center of the dollar bill, and we fold the dollar bill and place a paper clip onto the dollar bill thusly. The dollar bill is then folded. The paper clip is placed on the other half, the rubber band being separate from the two paper clips. And we pull them apart and watch. We have the linking paper clips onto the rubber band. This is how this is accomplished, and it's one of those quickies that you can do in the office, and you'll have the people trying it all day and not having a great deal of luck. It's very easy when you know how. The dollar bill, a rubber band is placed around the dollar bill, around the center of it. I first place, if you'll notice from the top view, the rubber band directly over the middle of the dollar bill. At this point, I fold the bill from left to right, making the left side go over about a third longer than the right side of the bill, and I clip a paper clip over both sides of the bill, so that I now have the paper clip clipping the bill. I then fold the right-hand side of the bill over, slide the rubber band to the middle, take the next paper clip, place it in the loop in the center of the bill. You see how it folds from the top view? You can see how it folds down, and now I place the paper clip in the middle and to the other side of the bill, so that one side has the paper clip, the original paper clip, and this one is on the opposite side. And now my thumb holds the bill evenly on both sides, and I pull, and the rubber band and the paper clips are linked.
It's time for practical joke. Ha ha.
You know, for that social gathering or that special dinner that you go out, a harmless practical joke is funny sometimes. I've always gotten a kick out of that one. It's one of those dumb things that you certainly will get the attention of those around you. It's the old quarter against the glass trick and a chiclet. Here's what we do. I put the chiclet in my mouth and hold it in my mouth, take a quarter and place it between the first and second finger, and then place that between the glass. And as you bring the glass up to your mouth, and out comes the chiclet.
Look out, don't break a tooth.
Here's a bit of nonsense that you'll have a lot of fun with. This one, which seems to get a lot of attention from the waiters around you. That's the old spoon on the nose trick. Here's how it's done. You wet your finger, and then wet the inside of the spoon. Dry it off. Wet your nose just a little bit. Of course, you don't do this in front of everybody. But then you place the spoon on your nose, and it'll just cling there. Doesn't have to be a large nose. I have a 9-year-old daughter that can do it. That's the old spoon trick. Since we're doing spoon tricks, sometimes you can tell the hostess that she placed the spoon the wrong way if she places the spoon correctly on the table. And you demonstrate how you can turn the spoon around by just doing that. And here's what you do for that little manipulation. It's a cute one. You bend your fingers thusly, as you can see from the overhead view, and just hit the back of the spoon, or the front, this part of the spoon, and it'll swivel around and into your thumb. Watch. See how it jumps right around? Again, it jumps right around and ends up in the perfect position.
This is the mysterious floating ball.
I promised you earlier I'd show you my extraterrestrial floating ball. I've had the thrill of entertaining children all over the world with this. There is one problem with it. It can't turn sideways. This is a dead giveaway every time. That's the old floating soup ladle trick, but it is one that you'll have a lot of fun with. Here's what you need. 1 soup ladle and a lot of nerve. The soup ladle is held in the hand. Let's take a top view and you'll see exactly how I hold it. The soup ladle is held thusly. So from the front position or the spectator's position, they see something that looks like a floating ball. From the top view, we have the soup ladle handle along the arm of my right hand. Now, to show my right hand empty, I place my left hand to the front of the soup ladle and I swivel, which allows the soup ladle to go to my left hand, and I show my right hand empty, place it down, again swivel, and I show my left hand empty. To make the ball or the soup ladle suspend in mid-air, again from the top view, you can see that I hold it in place with the back of my palms, which looks like from the front view or the spectator's view that it's suspended in space. Again, swiveling and turning it downward, I can place my hand underneath, holding the soup ladle, and from the spectator's point of view, it looks like the ball is floating in mid-space. That's the floating soup ladle, and a lot of basic close-up tricks. I hope you've had some fun with it. Robert Houdin, a very famous magician around the middle of the 1800s, once said that a magician is an actor portraying the part of a man that can do miracles. Well, to be a magician, you have to be an actor. There's some things that you must learn, you must practice, and you'll be entertaining your friends with some wonderful, wonderful tricks.
Here is the famous ghost under the handkerchief.
I call this trick the invisible ghost, and is one of the best tricks you can do after dinner when you have guests at the house and you've cleared the table off. And this is what it is. You know, they say the world is made of molecules, and sometimes you can take those molecules and form a solid object, such as this invisible ball. You can see that. You can. You're crazier than I am. Watch, we put the little invisible ball right in the center of the handkerchief. Has to be done undercover. Watch what happens. Under the handkerchief, we now squeeze the molecules together to form a solid object. A solid object such as a ball that seems to mysteriously move around. I say it's a solid object. You can sometimes hear it under the handkerchief, but the mysterious part of the molecules can sometimes just disappear into space when the trick is done right. Now, you won't tell anybody how that's done. Well, if you don't know how it's done, let me show you. It is one trick that you will have a great time with, and it's completely impromptu and just takes a little preparation. In this trick, I use a handkerchief that has a wide hem. Most of the napkins that you find in restaurants also have a hem such as this, and on the inside of the hem, I placed a lollipop stick. Now to prepare the stick, just take a lollipop, one of the cardboard kind, break off the end, or if you don't have a lollipop readily available, I found that a Q-tip works quite well, removing the cotton and just using the small part of the stick. Now here's how we accomplish the effect, and to demonstrate a little easier, I have a sheer handkerchief and I've placed a red stick in the hem. The handkerchief is shown thusly, showing the front and the back, and it's laid out in front of you in this position. The hands are empty. Remember, you're not going to be doing it with a sheer handkerchief. Don't use a sheer handkerchief, but you now place the handkerchief down and slap it, showing nothing under the handkerchief. This side, the left side, then covers the stick, and again, it's flattened, and now the top comes down, and again, the hands are shown empty, and the handkerchief is slapped down. I now reach under the handkerchief, and with my right hand, I lift up the stick, and I place it in a position that balances it under the handkerchief. Now my right hand touches the top of the stick and slowly revolves it, giving it the appearance of a ball under a handkerchief, or the molecules formed together to make that ball. Again, we balance the stick in an upright position, take a spoon, tap it, show the hand empty, reach under, the toothpick is then put flat, the hand is removed, and voila, we open up and we show the molecules have disappeared. Now, if you don't have a handkerchief that has a hem in it, don't panic. It can still be done with a regular handkerchief or a napkin that doesn't have a hem, and the use of a toothpick. The toothpick is concealed in the hand thusly. The handkerchief is now shown back and front, remembering to keep the toothpick facing your body as you show the handkerchief empty. We now bring over the right side, slap down, leaving the toothpick, but not showing it, slapping down and immediately taking the left side and covering the toothpick, and now bringing the top over. Now, under concealment of the layers, we reach under the handkerchief and we place the toothpick in an upright position, again allowing us to roll the ball around under the handkerchief. We now take a spoon, tap the top of the toothpick so that you can hear a solid object under the handkerchief, reach under the cover of the handkerchief, and we place the toothpick between the thumb and fleshy part of the hand and remove the ghost. They won't see the toothpick because they're looking right at the center of that handkerchief. I then come to the side of the table and just drop the toothpick in my lap, and the invisible ghost has disappeared. For children, I like to say I'd like to make an invisible Smurf, and I throw it over and I reach under and I make the invisible Smurf appear. But that's a trick that you'll have a lot of fun with, but don't tell anybody how it's done. Remember, it's the invisible molecules that do it.
The famous match pad trick.
This is an out-of-pocket mystery that'll leave the spectators baffled. We need a match pad and a spectator. Here's the effect. I'd like you to count the matches, if you will, inside the match pad. In this case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. One match is removed from the dozen matches that we have in the match pad. Watch closely. As I light the match, I place the match pad in the spectator's hand, have them blow the match out, and invisibly and magically make the match disappear. And remember, we had 11, we now have 12, with the burnt match appearing back in the match pad. And the burnt match can also be removed from within the match pad. Now, your spectators' eyes will pop out when they see that one. And it's an easy one to do, but it does take practice, and to do it right, you should practice. Here's how we accomplish the effect. I use a dozen or so matches generally. To prepare the trick to go, we place one match on the outside of the pad and then light it. This is the preparation before you perform the trick. Immediately blow it out, let it cool, and that's all you need to do to prepare for the trick. The match pad is laid down on the table. The hands are shown back and front. The match pad is lifted up. The right hand then comes under the match pad and slowly hides the match between the thumb and the first finger. We now open the pad, showing the matches. Remember, the concealed match is under the right thumb. So the match pad is shown to the spectator, and the spectator is asked to then count the matches. We then remove one match, and here's the next move, which is very, very important. That is to take the top of the match pad, turn the entire pad over, and in doing so, from my point of view, this is what you see. The thumb comes up, and in slow motion, you see, I turn the pad over, and I slowly slip that burnt match back into the pad. So again, it's from this point, we turn it over and close the match pad and lock the pad into position. I then light the match, blow it out, make sure that the fire is out. I then do a thumb palm, and a thumb palm is accomplished thusly. The match is held between the first finger and the second finger. It is then brought back and caught between the thumb and the fleshy part of the hand. So again, I show the match, and I pretend to place it into the opposite hand, when in reality it's right here. I then back my hand away from the table, drop the burnt match, be sure it's out, onto the floor, and invisibly make it disappear. Turn the pad over, open the match pad, let the spectators count the match, and even remove the burnt match. And you've accomplished a miracle.
The magic card reverse.
This is called the magic card reverse, and it's a real bamboozler that the spectators will love. I use a face card and a dollar bill, and I'd like you to watch carefully as we fold the card in half thusly. The card is then placed under the dollar bill. Strange thing happens when the bill is folded around the card. Watch closely. The card magically seems to reverse itself. Again, let me show you what happened. You see, the card is in the dollar bill, push through, and voila. Lo and behold, there it is, reversed. One last time, we push it halfway through, and one half of the card is one way, the other half is the other way, and you have just accomplished a miracle. Well, not exactly a miracle. Let me show you how you do it and what the preparation is. There is a little preparation on it, and to do it, I have an X-Acto knife, and I score the card by taking the center of a face card and cutting the card so that the card is actually cut in half. I can now hold the card with my first finger and thumb and show it back and front. Now here are the moves. Watch carefully. It takes practice, and it's one that you should practice before showing a spectator, And here's what we do. The card is pinched between the middle finger and the thumb of the right hand. It's now balanced and folded in half thusly. The first finger and thumb of the right hand grab the card right at the break. See where the break is, right there. Now when the bill is covering the card, that's what we do. Again, watch. We come to this point and we open the card. So the card is placed under the bill and opened so that we now have the card in this position under the bill. I then fold the bill in half and I freely show the bill back and front, folding this time the card, which is under the bill, over thusly and pinching it. With my first finger of my right hand, I can then lift up the bill and show the back of the card, covering the card once more and pushing the card through the bill. It reverses itself right in front of the spectator's very eyes. I now reverse the bill, bring my finger, my index finger, in the middle of the bill, and I show the card in the confines of the bill. Closing the bill and the card one more time, we push, turn the bill over, take my finger, and again show the card in the bill. And the last time, we push through, this time grabbing the card and the bill, bringing it halfway through to the break, tearing, placing the card half face up and half face down, open the bill, showing nothing on the front, nothing on the back, my hands empty, and waiting for tumultuous applause.
It is time for Cactus Pete, king of the card sharp.
One of my favorite tricks is with a deck of cards. Showing dexterity with a deck of cards the next time you have a bridge crowd over or they're playing a little poker, you'll have some fun with this one. I call it Cactus Pete, king of the card sharps, and this is how it goes. I'd like to tell you the story of Cactus Pete, king of the card sharps. You see, no matter where Cactus Pete cut, he always cut to an ace because he was Cactus Pete, king of the card sharps. You see, no matter where he cut, he always cut to an ace because he was Cactus Pete, king of the card sharps. No matter where he cut, he always cut to an ace because he was Cactus Pete, king of the card sharps. You see, no matter where he cut, he always cut to what? No, he always cut to a king because he was Cactus Pete, king of the card sharps. No matter where he cut, he always cut to a king. This is an effect that will take a little practice, but it's well worth it to the audience. Here's what we do. There are two basic sleights that you must learn in this trick, and those two sleights, one is called the glide. The glide is accomplished thusly. The cards are held in the hand, and when the hand is turned over, 3 fingers of the right hand slide back the bottom card, and the left hand removes the card underneath the bottom card. Now, if you see this done in Vegas or while they're playing blackjack, you better stay away from that game. It is a popular sleight among dealers. It's the glide. Again, the big movement covers a little movement. As the hand turns over, we accomplish the glide. The other sleight that is involved in this trick is sliding the bottom card to the middle of the deck. And that is by gripping the bottom card with these 3 fingers, we remove it and place it to the middle of the deck. To prepare for the trick, I have a deck of cards, and on the bottom of the deck, I have 2 kings, an ace, a king, an ace, a king, an ace, and an indifferent card. 2 kings, the ace, a king, an ace, a king, an ace, and an indifferent card, and these are placed on the bottom of the deck. We're now ready to perform the trick. The deck is shown, and the story is told of Cactus Pete, king of the card sharps. I now riffle through the cards, and I do the first sleight, bringing that bottom card to the middle of the deck, and I show the ace. I now do the glide by turning the deck over, sliding the ace back, and removing the second card. Again, repeating the first move, riffle the deck, remove the bottom card, place it back, I show the ace. I then do the glide, place the second king down. Again, riffling, sliding, showing the ace, doing the glide, placing the card down. The last time, removing the ace, placing it, turning it over, revealing the king, and showing that the other aces have turned to kings right before the spectator's eyes. You have Cactus Pete, king of the card sharps.
Okay, gamblers, you control the aces.
People often ask me, can you control a deck of cards? Well, if you do magic, I guess you should know a little control of a deck of cards. I call this controlling the aces. And it's a trick in which I'd like your assistance. I'd like to make 4 piles, and I would like you to tell me when to stop, so it's your choice as I riffle through. There? All right. Pile number 1, 2, 3, and 4. From each stack, we remove a card. 1, 2, 3, 4. Interestingly enough, pile number 1, we've gotten an ace. Number 2, an ace. Number 3, an ace. And pile number 4, we also have an ace. Well, it looks like you're a real expert at that card table, and here's how you put the trick together and control the aces. First, the 4 aces are placed on top of the deck, and we do a false shuffle. To accomplish this, the 4 aces are on top. We divide the deck in half, let part of the cards in the left hand riffle down, keeping the aces on top of the deck. I now do a false cut. Here's how we do the false cut. Rather than taking the cards from the top, the cards are pulled from the bottom, thrown down, a slight pause, and the cards are dropped on top. Again, the 4 aces are still on top of the deck. Now the spectator tells you when to stop as you lay out the 4 stacks of cards. Remember, the 4 aces are in the stack that you have in your hands. The first ace is pulled forward. Then a card is pulled from each of the other stacks and placed on top of that ace. We now count them, reversing the cards. 1, 2, 3, so that the 4th ace is placed on top of the stack. The stack is then closed, and the first card is turned over on top of the other 3 indifferent cards. The card, the ace, is then placed on the first stack. However, when that ace is placed on stack number 1, you take along the other 3 cards with it, pretending it's only 1 card. So we say we have ace number 1, and now we have the other remaining aces on top, and you have accomplished the 4 ace trick and amazed your spectators.
This is the vanishing penny or salt shaker.
This is that perfect after-dinner trick just for your friends, and it's called the vanishing coin and salt shaker trick. It's one that you'll have a lot of fun with. You need a $50, a salt shaker, and a napkin. That's all there is to it. It seems rather curious that salt has a magical power, and when the salt is wrapped in the confines of a napkin, twisted, and placed over a coin, watch what happens. The coin didn't disappear that time. Does take a little time sometimes. Oh, you don't want to see this trick. Oh, if you're wondering what happened to the salt cellar, well, I think you might find it right under the table. It's a good trick. It's a lot of fun to do, and it's an easy one. We'll measure guess, and the coin acts as the perfect misdirection. In magic, quite often, they say that big movement covers a small movement, and in this case, it's very true. The salt cellar is wrapped loosely, the napkin going around it, pinched at the top. Now, when I say loosely, it has to be loose because we're going to get rid of that salt cellar. And we have to wait for the perfect point of misdirection. So, the coin is covered with a salt cellar, hitting it rather solidly. We snap our fingers and nothing happens. Again, nothing happens. This time, as I bring the salt cellar back to the side of the table, I release it, and it falls in my lap. Now, normally, I wouldn't release it this high. I'd bring it right to the edge of the table, come back, and one of the things about being a magician is being an actor. You have to make believe that that salt cellar is under that napkin. I now cover it, look at the spectators and say, you don't want to see that trick. Fold up the napkin, toss it away, go down to my lap, retrieving the salt cellar, going to the center of the table, and producing the salt cellar, and getting a tremendous round of applause from all of my guests. And a lot of salt in my lap, too.
It's time for a toothpick quickie.
You know, quite often in today's society, people are talking about psychokinesis, or moving objects with your mind. This is a dinner table trick that you can have a lot of fun with, and I call it a toothpick quickie, or moving an object with your mind. For this experiment, I have 2 toothpicks. I'd like you to watch very closely as we balance one of the toothpicks on my fingers. Watch. Magically, or by psychokinesis, it seems as though that toothpick actually comes alive. Well, with a little help from your middle finger's fingernail. Here's how we do it. Between the first finger and the thumb, we place the toothpick and grasp it quite tightly. Now we bend the middle finger against the toothpick, holding the other fingers out, and balance the toothpick on it. And a slight upward motion causes friction against the fingernail. So the toothpick causes a little friction, as you can see by the above view, against the toothpick, which causes the toothpick, when laid on top of the first toothpick, to vibrate. Try it. Takes just a little bit of practice. And with it, you can say that, hey, I can do psychokinesis too.
What is an ESP mystery?
Many studies have been performed in ESP, extrasensory perception, and this is one that you can do with a spectator that will really boggle the mind. For it, we use 5 cards and a little assistance from the spectator. I call this, Will the Cards Match? The 5 cards are first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cards. We originally started with 5, but we now have 10. I'd like you to select either pile. The spectator chooses a pile, and we spell the word will. W-I. Now, if you'd like to change and go to this pile, L, L, and the 2 cards are placed aside. The next word is the, and again, you tell me which pile to start with. This pile? All right. T, change? All right. H-E. The. Cards, we'll start with this pile. C-A-R, change. D, change back. S. Will the cards? M. A, T, C, change, H, match. And lo and behold, this pile matches. Would you select another, this one? All right. You see, isn't that interesting? All of the cards match, which proves that you definitely have extrasensory perception. How do we do it? Very easily. Let's remove these cards and start from scratch by taking 5 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's get a black one in there just to mix them up a little bit. And here's how we do it. It's automatic. The 5 cards are stacked up, torn in half, and for demonstration purposes, rather than turning them over, I'm going to leave them face up so you can see what's happening as we go along. The first and only tricky part is to count the cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you'll notice that I reversed the cards as I counted them that time. On the other pile, I don't reverse them. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The rest happens automatically no matter which pile they select. If they select here, we say the first word is will. W, I. They can change or not change. L, L. Will, T, H, E. The, C, A. Will change. R, D, S. Cards, M, A, T, C, H. And the cards match, and you've proved yourself a well-accomplished magician.
Thanks.